Hello there. So the most common question that I get almost every single day is what should I be doing on a daily basis to help my muscles and whatnot. So this video, we're going to talk about the 5 muscle groups that you need to stretch each and every day and 2 ways to stretch each one of them. And the very first one we're going to talk about are the lumbar paraspinal muscles. Those are the muscles right back in here. And we're going to do that 2 different ways. One way is going to be laying on your back, and you can literally do this before you get out of bed in the morning. And the other way will be standing. So let's do this first one first. First thing we're going to do is get in this position here, and essentially this is called, double knee to chest, and it's no more complicated than taking your knees and pulling them this way, and you're going to feel your pelvis kind of lift up off of the surface, whatever you're on. And if it's a hard surface, it's maybe even better. So your bed may not be the best surface to do this, but you could do this in the bed potentially. So just knee to chest, and you want to feel it maybe. It's a little tight in the beginning, and then it's going to get more and more stretch out of it. All right, so that's the first way. The number 2 way is what we call standing range of motion. Essentially, we're just going to stand in a position like this, and we're going to stretch down, and then we're going to stretch back. And this is technically not stretching that muscle group, but still, this is a great exercise to do. And you can run through about 4 or 5 reps of that. So it's basically front ways, get the spine to curve, backward, and then sideways, okay? So that's the first muscle group. The number 2 muscle group is going to be your glutes. So your glutes can get tight. That can drive a lot of back pain. So literally we're going to sit, and the best way to do this is sitting, and we're going to take and put your leg up like this. Now, if you have a hip replacement, you may not be able to do this. That will be an instruction by your orthopedic surgeon potentially, but you put it in this position, and then we're going to lean forward. And you're going to feel this all in your hips and your glute. And I can feel that a lot myself. And you're going to hold this for about, 10 to 15, maybe even 20 seconds. I won't hold it the whole time for this. And you switch sides and you do the same. And you just pull and stretch. This is a fantastic stretch. Really, really good. The second way we can do that is by laying down. So let's show you the laying method. Same thing. We're going to pull here. We're going to put our hands behind the knee, and we're going to pull forward. Now with this one, we actually get a little bit of low back stretch at the same time. Okay, we can switch it. You're going to grab inside the leg, and then you're going to pull back and stretch. Oh my goodness, I feel that. Really, really good. Okay. The next one is going to be the pecs. So the pecs are one of the most important muscle groups that we can stretch, and I find almost every patient that comes in our office has tight pecs. And what tight pecs do is they round the shoulders forward. So if I kind of stand here and round my shoulders forward, that can be due to a tight pec. And so when we stretch the pecs, it allows our shoulder posture to get back here where it belongs, which is kind of back. The shoulder should be back, not forward. Okay? Way number 1, we're going to use the corner. Come over here to the corner. And essentially, we're going to get into a corner, and we're going to push, and we're just going to feel those pecs just kind of spread apart. Okay, now this is the best way to do it if you don't have a floor to lay on, and you can do this throughout your workday as well. It'd be a great activity to do throughout your workday. But here's the laying version. There's actually 2 ways to do it laying down. The first way is not with the roll, so we're going to literally lay down. We can put our arms back here like this, and we lay down into an X, okay? And if your pecs aren't very tight, this won't feel like much, but if you literally lay down like this is a yoga pose. It's a good way to stretch. But the next way is even more aggressive. So here's the best way to stretch your pecs, and you can do this for like 5 to 10 minutes. And essentially, we're in this position on the roll, so the head is on the roll, and your behind is on the roll. And essentially, you're going to bring your arms back. So you don't want the elbows below the shoulder. You just take all the tension off the pecs when you do that. And you're going to bring these arms back. And you should be able to touch the ground, believe it or not, when you're in this position. Okay? Then you can kind of move the arms up and just feel your chest and your pecs open up here. It's really, really fantastic. And we're just going to kind of stretch that. So you can make this one dynamic, meaning that you can... you don't have to be static. You don't have to just lay here. You can literally kind of stretch down and up. Okay, so that is the second way to stretch the pecs. Okay, Now for the hip flexor. The hip flexor is notoriously one of the hardest muscles to stretch at home, and we do a lot of hip flexor stretching here in the office, but here's the best way to stretch it at home. And you may need a pillow to do this. All right, we're going to put a pillow down. This has to be done on a hard surface. You probably can't do this in your bed, and you wouldn't want to. So we're going to take and put this pillow down. Now, I don't need a pillow technically because I'm on this soft table, but you still need one on the ground for sure. What we're going to do is we're going to rock the hips forward. We're going to put the knee behind the hip joint here. We're going to go forward, and then that's the stretch. And with this one, you have to do your upper body proper. If your upper body basically kind of collapses here, you take away the hip flexor stretch, because as I'll show you in a picture, the hip flexor or the psoas goes from the spine through the pelvis and attaches onto the leg here. So we have to stay upright with the posture, and then we can really ease into this. So we bend this knee and we just go forward, and it pulls right in there. It's the best hip flexor home stretch. And for this one, I really just have this one. I think this is the best way to do this, so I don't think you need to worry about another method for this one. But you go forward and you just stretch that muscle there. And that is just really good. Now, if you want to make the stretch even more, you can sort of lean back a little bit, and the more you lean back, the more you're going to feel that. So it's a really good stretch for the hip flexor, and that's what I recommend doing there. The last activity is going to be the hamstrings. So the hamstrings are pretty easy to stretch. There's two ways to stretch them. And the first way is basically just sitting in this position here. And we're going to lean forward, and we're just going to hold. And you should be able to grab about halfway down your foot. And you just hold that for about 15 to 20 seconds. And you're going to feel this all in your leg. Now, if you have a disc herniation or some sort of a problem like that, you might have leg pain, and you don't want to do this activity if you have leg pain. That's just a disclaimer, okay? Come off of it, come over here, and just hold. People's hamstrings are tight all the time. It contributes to back pain. It alters your pelvic function, your lumbar posture, so many things. So stretching the hamstrings is a really good thing to do. So that's the sitting version. And again, 15 to 20 second holds on that is ideal. And here's the laying version. Now, you may not have a strap like this, but if you do, this is ideal. We're going to lay down. We're going to put the strap here. We're going to let this leg come down, and we're going to come all the way up, just like that. And I feel that quite a bit. But this can, if you have any problems with your hands, like any kind of a wrist extensor issue, then this can kind of light up people's arms. So you have to be careful with that. But again, same thing, you're going to pull it into tension, and you're just going to feel that stretch. This is a really good stretch. Now with this one, we get a little bit of hip flexor stretch, because when people have really tight hip flexors, when they pull their leg up like this, their knee will come up with it. And that means that you have really tight hip flexors. So this is a little indication that you might have some tight hip flexors if your knee is kind of coming up when you do this, and you need more hip flexor work if that's the case. So down, back up, and that is the activity. So in summary, we have the 5 muscle groups. We have the lumbar paraspinals, we have the glutes, we have the hip flexors, we have the pecs, and then we have the hamstrings. Those 5 muscle groups need to be stretched really on a daily basis for you to have an optimal experience in terms of aging, frankly. And just remember, it doesn't take any effort to be stiff. It takes effort to be flexible. It takes effort to be conditioned. It takes effort to down-regulate your aging. And with that, hopefully that helps. Let me know if you have any questions, and look forward to seeing you in the office. Take care.